a journal of 2 visits made to some nations of Indians on the west side of the river, Ohio, by the Reverend David Jones. February 6th, 1773, continued. No company presenting, and matters not wearing the best aspect, concluded not to go to the Wyandottes, but to direct my course to the Delaware Indians. Having got a horse through the kindness of Mr. Irwin, which cost me $25, and being somewhat furnished with provisions for my journey. On Monday, February 8th, about 10 o'clock, parted with my good friends at Chillicothe, and set out alone, passing through Pickawicka. Came before night to Kiskapookie, which is situated on a creek that soon empties into Scioto. The town is near 1 mile from the river. This day's journey was more than 20 miles, the course near northeast and by north. For the first 8 miles was not without some apprehensions of being pursued, but after that was very little disturbed in mind. At this town my lodging was with Mr. Richard Butler, brother to William Butler before mentioned. His usage was kind and generous, not only preparing wheat cakes for my journey, but he also gave me 2 pair of leggings to barter for provisions by the way. For these Indians as yet have not the use of money. In the morning my horse could not be found, and by that means missed of company. However, about 1 o'clock passed over Scioto in a canoe, in company with Mr. Butler, who was so kind as to see me over, because I could not converse with Indians about my ferrage. The lad that brought me over is a white captive. When I spoke to him, was very sorry to see him shake his head and reply, "Mota kino tole nikana," which means, "I do not understand you, my friend." There remain a considerable number of captives in this nation, which were all to have been restored at the conclusion of the last peace, and without doubt the agent has in this point been deficient. The country through which I passed today appears very excellent, only it abounds very much with bogs, or what may be called fresh marshes, so that perhaps it may not be best for health, but promises to be extraordinary for stock. My course today was about northeast. As I passed a certain place called the Great Lick, saw the last flock of parrots. These birds are in great abundance about Scioto in winter, and in summer 'tis probable they may be seen much further towards the north. Having set out very late, night came on before I arrived to the next town. My road was very small, and the night, dark in this wide wilderness, made my travelling more disagreeable than can be easily expressed. But before 9 o'clock, came safe to Mr. McCormick's at the Standing Stone. This town consists chiefly of Delaware Indians. It is situated on a creek called Hockhocking. The soil about this is equal to the highest wishes, but the creek appears muddy. Though it is not wide, yet it soon admits large canoes, and from hence peltry is transmitted to Fort Pitt. Overtook here Mr. David Duncan, a trader from Shippenstown, who was going to Fort Pitt. Wednesday 10th of February 1773, intending to travel 40 miles, set out early in the morning. Our course more northerly than northeast, the land chiefly low and level. And where our horses broke through the frost, it might be called bad road and good land. There were no inhabitants by the way. Before night, came to the designed town, called Dan. Eliot's wife's, a man of that name was said to have here a squaw for his pretended wife. This is a small town consisting of Delawares and Shawnees. The chief is a Shawnee woman who is esteemed very rich. She entertains travellers. There were 4 of us in company, and for our use her Negro quarter was evacuated this night, which had a fire in the middle without any chimney. Footnote: this woman has several Negroes who were taken from Virginia in time of last war, and now esteemed as her property. End of footnote. This woman has a large stock, and supplied us with milk. Here also we got corn for our horses at a very expensive price, but Mr. Duncan paid for me here, and in our journey till we parted. About a mile before we came to this town, we crossed a clear large stream, called Salt Lick Creek, which empties into Muskingum, on which the chief Delaware town is situated. The country here appeared calculated for health, fertile and beautiful. Thursday, 11. Set out for a small town called Connors, a man of that name residing there. Our course was near northeast. The distance was less than the preceding day's journey, so that we arrived to town some time before sunset. Travelled this day over a good country, only wanting inhabitants. This town is situated near no creek, a good spring supplying them with water. The land about it is level and good. The timber, being chiefly black oak, indicates it will produce good wheat if a trial was made. Mr. Connor, who is a white man, a native of Maryland, told me that he intended to sow wheat in the fall following, and was resolved to proceed to farming at all events. 'Tis probable that he will be as good as his word, for he is a man that seems not to fear God, and it is likely that he will not regard man. His connections will favour his attempts, for, according to their way, he and the chief Indian of this town are married to 2 sisters. These women were captives, and it is likely from childhood, for they have the very actions of Indians and speak broken English. It seemed strange to me to see the captives have the exact gestures of Indians. Might we not infer from hence that if Indians were educated as we are, they would be like us? This town consists of Shawnees and Delawares, and some of them dwell in pretty good log houses, well shingled with nails. Mr. Connor keeps a sort of a tavern, and has moderate accommodations, and though he is not what he should be, yet he was kind to me. Friday, 12. Here we parted with some of our company, whose absence was very agreeable, and in company with Mr. Duncan, set out for Newcomer's Town, which is the chief town of the Delawares. Had gone but a few miles till we came to the little Shawnee woman's town. This is situated on the west side of Muskingum, and chiefly consists of Shawnees. Here we crossed the river in a canoe, our horses swimming by its side. The country began to be hilly, interspersed with some barren plains. We passed Captain White-Eye's town, but this noted Indian was down Ohio, perhaps with my old interpreter, so that I could not have the satisfaction of seeing him this time, but I saw him several times the first visit. He was the only Indian I met with in all my travels that seemed to have a design of accomplishing something future. He told me that he intended to be religious and have his children educated. He saw that their way of living would not answer much longer. Game grew scarce. They could not much longer pretend to live by hunting, but must farm, etc., but said he could not attend to matters of religion now, for he intended to make a great hunt down Ohio, and take the skins himself to Philadelphia. I was informed that he accomplished this, and went round by the Gulf of Florida to Philadelphia. On this occasion could not but think of that text of Scripture, which says, "One went to his farm, and another to his merchandise." And it may be said, the Indian went to his hunting. This was the case last year, and perhaps something as important may employ the next year, and so the life of man is spent, few remembering that one thing is needful. A few miles north of White-Eyes town, there is a small town where we obliged our horses to take the river, following them in a small canoe belonging to the Indians. Thence travelled over very hilly land till we came within 2 or 3 miles of Newcomers Town, and from that to town the land is agreeable and appears good for wheat. Came to town before night, and found it was a great triennial feast. Consequently, little could be done till that ended. From the great town, Chillicothe, to this chief town of the Delawares, is called 130 miles. The course may be estimated near northeast, but as the path goes, it varies in many places. This town is situated on the west side of the river Muskingum, which is a pretty large stream. The proper pronunciation in Indian is Muskingum, that is to say, Elk Eye River. In their language, an elk being called moose. This town takes its name from the name of the king, who is called Nitotukalaman, that is to say, newcomer.